The Last Guardian. The red giant star cast an eerie crimson glow across the ruins of Nexus Prime, painting the ancient structures in shades of blood and rust. Dr. Maya Chen adjusted her environmental suit's filters, watching as the radiation readings flickered across her helmet display. The dying star was slowly cooking this world, but she still had time, a few hours at least, before the radiation levels became lethal. "Base, this is Chen," she reported, her voice steady despite the magnificent desolation surrounding her. "I'm approaching the central complex. No signs of temporal degradation in the structures. These ruins are old, but they've been preserved remarkably well." Static crackled through her comm before Dr. Harrison's voice responded. "Copy that, Maya. Remember, we got less than 6 hours before the next solar flare. Don't take any unnecessary risks." Maya smiled to herself as she carefully navigated the crystalline walkway leading to what appeared to be a temple or governmental complex. In her decade as a xenorchaeologist, unnecessary risks had become something of a personal specialty. After all, humanity hadn't spread across 3 sectors of the galaxy by playing it safe. The structure before her defied conventional architecture. Spiraling towers of an opalescent material rose at impossible angles, their surfaces etched with scripts that seemed to shift and change when viewed from different angles. Maya had seen similar writing systems before, but nothing quite like this. The civilization that built this place, the predecessors, as they were known in academic circles, had vanished without explanation 50,000 years ago. As she approached the main entrance, her suit's sensors detected a faint energy signature. Maya froze, double-checking the readings. "Base, are you seeing this? There's still power running through these systems." "Impossible," Harrison replied. "Nothing could maintain power for that long without." His voice cut off as a low hum filled the air. The scripts along the walls began to pulse with a soft blue light, responding to her presence. Maya's heart raced as she realized what this meant. "It's not maintaining power," she whispered. "It's generating it. Right now." She pressed her hand against the entrance, and the door dissolved like mist, revealing a vast chamber within. The interior was even more spectacular than the exterior, with floating platforms connected by bridges of pure light. But what caught Maya's attention was the figure huddled in the corner, a humanoid form wrapped in what appeared to be living metal. Maya approached carefully, her training warring with her instincts. The figure looked up, revealing features that were almost human but not quite, silver skin that seemed to ripple like quicksilver, eyes that shimmered with an inner light. She, was injured, dark fluid seeping from a wound in her side. "Please," the alien whispered in perfect English, her voice carrying an otherworldly harmonic. "They're coming." Maya's mind raced with questions. How did she speak English? Who were they? But years of emergency medical training kicked in first. She reached for her medkit, kneeling beside the injured alien. "I'm here to help. I'm Dr. Maya Chen, from Earth." The alien's eyes widened at the mention of Earth. "Human," she breathed, a mix of hope and fear in her voice. "Perhaps it's not too late after all." She grabbed Maya's arm with surprising strength. "I am Zira, last guardian of the Nexus Key. And you are exactly what we've been waiting for." Before Maya could respond, her suit's proximity alerts blared. Multiple ships were entering the atmosphere, ships that definitely weren't from her research team. Zira's grip tightened. "The Dominion. They found me." She pressed something into Maya's hand, a small crystal that pulsed with the same energy as the building around them. "You must protect this. The fate of countless worlds depends on it." Maya looked at the crystal, then at her suit's readings. The incoming ships would reach their position in minutes, and the radiation levels were rising faster than predicted. It was the kind of moment that had defined humanity's history. Impossible odds, limited time, and a choice between safety and doing what's right. She made her decision. "Can you walk?" Zira struggled to her feet, leaning heavily against Maya. "The wounds, they're not just physical. The Dominion weapons are designed to disrupt our neural patterns. Then I'll carry you if I have to, Maya said, already plotting escape routes in her head. Base, this is Chen. We've got incoming hostiles, and I'm bringing a guest. Have the ship ready for emergency evacuation. Maya, what the hell is going on up there? Harrison demanded. Remember how you said no unnecessary risks? Maya helped Zira toward a back exit as the first tremors of landing ships shook the building. This is definitely necessary. Trust me. The next few minutes were a blur of action. Maya half-carried, half-dragged Zira through a maze of corridors as energy weapons began firing outside. The alien was surprisingly light, her metallic skin warm to the touch despite its appearance. They'd reached a maintenance tunnel just as the first Dominion troops breached the main chamber. Maya caught a glimpse of them through a crystal window. Tall, armored figures with multiple limbs moving with mechanical precision. Their weapons looked more like living organisms than machines, pulsing with a sickly green light. The tunnel leads to a secondary complex, Zira whispered. There's a transport pad there, if it still works. They reached the pad just as the first Dominion soldiers discovered their trail. Maya positioned Zira on the circular platform, studying the ancient controls. The symbols were similar to ones she decoded on other predecessor sites, but these were more complex, more alive. Maya, Harrison's voice crackled through her comm. The star's becoming unstable. Whatever you're doing, do it fast. Energy bolts started hitting the walls around them as Maya's fingers danced across the control panel. She didn't understand all the symbols, but she understood patterns, and right now that would have to be enough. The pad began to hum as Dominion troops poured into the chamber. Stop. Their leader's voice boomed in multiple frequencies at once. The Guardian and the Key belong to the Dominion. This is beyond your comprehension, human. Maya stepped onto the pad beside Zira, meeting the leader's compound eyes through her visor. Here's what I comprehend, she said. You hurt her, you're chasing her, and you want this crystal thing badly enough to follow her to a dying world. That's all I need to know. She pressed the final sequence as energy bolts converged on their position. The world dissolved into light, and Maya's last thought before the transport took them was that Harrison was going to be really upset about the paperwork this would create. The light faded, revealing a different chamber in what appeared to be an underground facility. Maya helped Zira to a nearby bench carved from the same crystal-like material as the rest of the structure. The alien's breathing was labored, but her eyes were clear as she studied Maya. You saved me, Zira said, wonder in her harmonic voice, even though you knew nothing about me or the danger involved. Why? Maya checked her medkit, looking for anything that might help with Zira's injuries. Because you needed help, she said simply. That's what humans do. Well, that and stick our noses where they don't belong. Speaking of which, she held up the crystal. Want to tell me what this is, and why those walking tank bugs want it so badly? Zira's expression became grave. It's called the Nexus Key, and if the Dominion claims it, they will use it to reshape reality itself. They believe in absolute order, in the subjugation of all lesser species, and humans. She touched Maya's arm gently. Humans terrify them more than any other race. Us. Maya couldn't help but laugh. We've barely mastered interstellar travel. Half our colonies still struggle with basic terraforming. That's precisely why you're dangerous, Zira said. Your species adapts, evolves, finds solutions where others see only obstacles. The Dominion creates perfect order through control and uniformity. But humans create order from chaos itself. They've seen your potential, and it frightens them. Maya was about to respond when her suit's sensors picked up new readings. They're following our transport signature, she said. We need to move. She helped Zira to her feet. Don't suppose this place has a garage. Maybe some ancient predecessor vehicles lying around. Zira's silver lips curved in what might have been a smile. Better. It has a laboratory. And if you're willing to trust me, I think I know how we can use your uniquely human traits to our advantage. Maya grinned beneath her helmet. Trust the mysterious alien I just met while being chased by bug tank soldiers on a dying world. Sounds like another unnecessary risk. She gestured toward the corridor ahead. Lead the way. Echoes of home. The laboratory looked like something out of humanity's wildest dreams, or perhaps its deepest nightmares. Crystalline machines pulsed with living light, their functions beyond Maya's comprehension. But what caught her attention was the massive display dominating the central wall, showing real-time data in the flowing script of the predecessors. Your suit, Zira said, her silver skin gleaming in the lab's ethereal light. It's shielded against radiation, correct? Maya nodded, watching as Zira interfaced with the ancient systems. The alien's fingers seemed to merge with the controls, becoming one with the technology. Standard cynoarchaeologist equipment. Keeps me safe from everything from solar radiation to temporal displacement. Good, because what I'm about to show you. Zira's voice trailed off as the display transformed into a three-dimensional star map. Thousands of worlds hung in the air around them, connected by lines of force that Maya had never seen on any standard astronomical chart. This is the Nexus Network, Zira explained. The predecessors built it to connect all sentient species, to help them grow and evolve together. But the Dominion, her voice hardened. They discovered how to corrupt the network, to use it for control rather than connection. Maya studied the map, her scientific mind racing. These connection points, they're not using normal spacetime, are they? They're quantum entanglement paths. Zira's eyes widened slightly. Most species take decades to grasp that concept. But yes, the network operates on quantum principles that your scientists are only beginning to understand. The key you carry is both a map and a key to this network. Before Maya could respond, alarms blared through the complex. The Dominion had arrived faster than expected. Maya checked her suit's readings, multiple hostiles converging on their position from 3 directions. Please tell me this lab has a back door, Maya said, already moving to secure the entrance. Zira's expression was grim. Better. It has a network gate. But Maya, she hesitated. Using it while the network is corrupted is dangerous. The quantum pathways are unstable. No one has successfully navigated them since the Dominion's interference began. Maya grinned beneath her helmet. Let me guess. Human unpredictability might be an advantage here. Precisely. Your species' neural patterns are unique, less rigid than most. You might be able to. The door shuddered under heavy impact. The Dominion troops had arrived. Less theory, more action. Maya interrupted, helping Zira to what appeared to be a transport platform similar to the one they'd used earlier. How do we activate this thing? Zira pressed the crystal into a receptacle on the platform's control panel. Energy surged through the lab, and a portal of swirling quantum energy appeared before them. Through it, Maya could see fragments of different worlds, different times, all overlapping like a broken kaleidoscope. The crystal will guide us, Zira said as the door began to give way. But you must lead. Your mind must navigate the quantum paths. Whatever you do, don't let. The door exploded inward. Dominion troops poured through, their organic weapons already charging. Maya didn't wait for them to fire. She grabbed Zira and jumped into the portal. Reality shattered around them. Maya's consciousness expanded, touching 1,000 worlds at once. She saw ancient cities of crystal and light, worlds burned to ash by Dominion weapons, species rising and falling across ends of time. The quantum paths stretched before her like strands of light in an infinite web. Focus. Zira's voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Your mind is dispersing across the network. You must choose a path. Maya forced herself to concentrate. The paths were like rivers of probability, each leading to a different destination. But one felt right. It resonated with something deep in her human consciousness, a pattern she recognized but couldn't name. She reached for it, pulling herself and Zira toward that singular thread of reality. The quantum chaos around them began to coalesce, forming into. They crashed onto solid ground in a forest of massive crystal trees. Maya's suit sensors went crazy for a moment before stabilizing. She helped Zira up, taking in their surroundings. The air was breathable but thin, the gravity slightly lighter than Earth standard. "Where are we?" Maya asked, still dizzy from the quantum transit. Zira touched one of the crystal trees, her expression a mix of wonder and sadness. Crystallis Prime, one of the first worlds seeded by the predecessors. It was a sanctuary once, before the Dominion corrupted its connection to the network. She turned to Maya. "What made you choose this path?" Maya shrugged, checking their surroundings for immediate threats. The pattern looked like the crystalline structures in the ruins. "I figured if we were going to hide the key, a world that resonated with its basic nature might be a good choice." "Intuitive pattern recognition," Zira said softly. "Another uniquely human trait. You see connections that even our most advanced AIs miss." A distant rumble interrupted their conversation. Maya's suit picked up multiple atmospheric disturbances. Ships entering the upper atmosphere. "Please tell me those aren't." "The Dominion," Zira confirmed. "They're tracking us through the network corruption. We need to reach the sanctuary complex before they find us." They set off through the crystal forest, each tree reflecting and refracting light in complex patterns. Maya's archaeologist training kicked in as she noticed structures integrated into the crystalline growth. This entire forest was artificial, designed to serve some greater purpose. "The sanctuary isn't just a hiding place, is it?" Maya asked as they navigated the ethereal landscape. "You're planning something bigger." Zira nodded, her movement becoming smoother as the world's unique energy patterns seemed to strengthen her. "The key isn't just a key. It's a reset protocol. If we can reach the sanctuary's core, we might be able to purge the Dominion's corruption from the entire network. And let me guess, it's never been done before, it's probably impossible, and it might get us both killed." "Correct on all counts." Maya laughed, the sound echoing strangely through the crystal forest. "Good. I was worried this might be too easy." She checked her suit's readings again. Dominion forces are spreading out, creating a search pattern. They're learning, adapting to our movements. "Impossible," Zira said. "The Dominion forces are purely logical. They don't adapt or learn new patterns." "Then they're being controlled directly by someone who can," Maya replied. "Someone who thinks more like a human." The implications of that revelation hung between them as they pushed deeper into the crystal forest. The sanctuary's spires were visible now, rising like frozen lightning against the violet sky. But between them and their goal, Maya could see Dominion dropships deploying troops in precise, geometric patterns. "They're hurting us," Maya realized, using standard military containment strategies. Definitely human-inspired tactics. She studied the deployment pattern, her mind racing. But they're still thinking too linearly. See how they're assuming we'll take the most direct route. Zira followed her gaze. The crystal trees interfere with their sensors. If we move through the denser growths, we can circle around behind them, Maya finished. They'll be watching for us to go over or under their line. They won't expect us to go through. The crystal resonance will be intense, Zira warned. Even your suit might have trouble compensating. Maya checked her medkit, then her weapon charge. Both were running low, but they'd have to be enough. Sometimes the best path is the one everyone else thinks is impossible. Ready to make some bad decisions with me? Zira's silver lips curved in what was definitely a smile this time. I'm beginning to understand why the Dominion fears humans so much. You don't just survive impossible situations. You seem to enjoy them. Damn right we do, Maya said, plotting their course through the densest part of the crystal forest. Now let's go remind them why. Breaking point. The crystal forest's resonance turned out to be more than just interference. It was a song. Maya's suit filters struggled to dampen the harmonics as she and Zira pushed through the densest growth, each crystal vibrating at a frequency that seemed to reach into her bones. The sound should have been maddening, but instead, it felt almost familiar, like a half-remembered dream. "The crystals," Maya whispered, noticing how Zira's silver skin rippled in response to the frequencies. "They're not just growing, they're communicating." Zira nodded, her movements becoming more fluid as they progressed deeper into the forest. "The entire planet is a single neural network. The predecessors designed it as both a sanctuary and a backup system for the Nexus network. Every crystal contains fragments of their knowledge, their history." A distant explosion interrupted their conversation. The Dominion forces were systematically destroying sections of the forest, trying to flush them out. Maya checked her suit's readings. The enemy's search pattern was tightening, but they were still focused on the wrong area. "They're desperate," Zira observed. "They know what we're planning." "Good," Maya replied, helping Zira over a particularly dense cluster of crystals. "Desperate enemies make mistakes. And speaking of plans, want to tell me exactly what we're going to do when we reach the sanctuary's core?" Zira's expression became grave. "The corruption in the network, it's not just code or data. It's more like a virus, spreading through the quantum pathways, turning connection into control. The key contains the original network protocols, a clean state that could purge the corruption. But the sanctuary's core must be activated by conscious intent. Someone must interface directly with the network to initiate the purge. The neural load would be significant." Maya understood the implications. "Fatal, you mean? For a normal consciousness, even for my kind, it would mean complete neural dissolution. But a human mind." Zira trailed off as they reached the edge of the densest crystal growth. The sanctuary loomed before them, its spires now clearly visible through the ethereal forest. Maya studied the structure, noting the Dominion forces establishing defensive positions around its base. "A human mind might survive, because we're more adaptable, more used to chaos. Your species evolved on a death world, survived multiple extinction events, and emerged stronger each time. Your neural patterns are uniquely suited to handling extreme variability." Zira touched Maya's arm. "But I would never ask." "You don't have to," Maya interrupted. "If there's even a chance of stopping the Dominion, of preventing them from turning the network into a weapon." She checked her weapon charge one last time. "Besides, what's the worst that could happen? Total neural dissolution sounds like a fancy way to go." Before Zira could respond, the crystal forest around them erupted in chaos. Dominion forces had spotted them, their organic weapons sending pulses of corrupted energy through the crystal matrix. The harmonics turned discordant, painful. "Run." Maya grabbed Zira's hand and sprinted toward the sanctuary. Energy bolts sizzled past them, turning crystal trees into clouds of razor-sharp shards. Maya's suit took multiple hits, its shields flickering dangerously. They reached the sanctuary's outer wall, just as Maya's shields failed completely. A piece of crystal shrapnel sliced through her suit's arm, drawing blood. The pain was sharp but manageable. She'd had worse during her doctoral fieldwork. "There's a maintenance access point," Zira said, her fingers interfacing with a nearly invisible panel. "But they'll follow us inside. Then we'll need a distraction." Maya studied the crystal formations surrounding the sanctuary. The harmonics were stronger here, more structured. An idea formed, the kind of crazy, impossible idea that humans specialized in. She pulled out her last emergency charge, normally used for powering suit systems in extreme conditions. "The crystals communicate through harmonic resonance, right? What happens if we introduce a really strong disruption to that frequency?" Zira's eyes widened as she understood. The feedback would cascade through the entire local network. It could. "Buying us time or getting us killed. Story of my life." Maya set the charge to overload and wedged it into a central crystal cluster. "How long to get through that door?" 30 seconds. "Make it 20. Maya took up a defensive position, using her depleted weapon to pick off the closest Dominion troops. The charge began to whine as it approached critical levels. The door dissolved just as the charge detonated. The crystal forest screamed. Waves of discordant energy rippled outward, shattering lesser crystals and sending the Dominion forces into disarray. Maya and Zira dove through the opening, the door reforming behind them just as the cascade reached its peak. They found themselves in a circular chamber, its walls lined with the same living crystal technology they'd seen in the laboratory. Maya's suit was in tatters, her arm bleeding freely now, but her mind was sharp with adrenaline and purpose. "That won't hold them for long," she said, helping Zira to her feet. "Where's this core we need to reach?" Zira pointed to a spiral staircase that seemed to be made of pure light. "Below, the heart of the sanctuary." "But Maya," she touched the human's injured arm. "The neural interface will be even more dangerous in your current state." Maya laughed, the sound echoing strangely in the crystalline chamber. "When are you going to learn? Humans don't do things because they're safe. We do them because they're necessary." She started toward the stairs. "Now, how about you tell me exactly what I need to do to reboot this network of yours?" The sound of Dominion weapons impacting the outer doors added urgency to their descent. As they spiraled deeper into the sanctuary's heart, Zira explained the process, how Maya would need to interface with the core, using the key to initiate the purge while somehow maintaining her own consciousness against the overwhelming flow of data. "The corruption will fight back," Zira warned as they reached the bottom. "It will try to overwhelm your neural patterns, to absorb or destroy your consciousness." The core chamber was a marvel of predecessor engineering, a spherical space filled with shifting patterns of light and energy, all centered around a single crystal pedestal. Maya approached it, feeling the power humming through the air. "Good," she said, removing what remained of her damaged helmet. "I've always wanted to pick a fight with a quantum virus. Helps take my mind off the Dominion troops about to break down the door." As if on cue, a massive explosion rocked the sanctuary above them. Maya turned to Zira, her expression determined. "I've got a question before we do this. That stuff you said about humans being unique, about us surviving and adapting, you really believe that?" "More than ever," Zira replied softly. "Your kind doesn't just endure chaos and change. You thrive on it. You turn impossible situations into victories through sheer determination and creativity. It's beautiful and terrifying." Maya grinned, blood from a cut on her forehead running down her face. "Damn right we do. Now, let's go save reality." She placed her hand on the crystal pedestal. "Hit it." Zira inserted the key into the pedestal's receptacle. Energy surged through the chamber as Maya's consciousness expanded into the network. The last thing she heard before reality dissolved into quantum data was Zira's voice. "Remember who you are. Remember why you fight." Then the real battle began. The fire within. Consciousness exploded into infinity. Maya's mind expanded across the quantum network, touching countless worlds and times simultaneously. The corrupted pathways burned like infected veins through the fabric of reality, pulsing with the Dominion's toxic influence. But beneath it all, she could feel the original pattern, the true purpose of the network, singing in harmonies that made her soul ache. Time became meaningless. She was everywhere and nowhere. Her human consciousness stretched across the quantum web. The corruption noticed her presence, turning its attention toward this new intrusion. It struck with the force of a collapsing star, trying to overwhelm her neural patterns with waves of degraded data. But Maya's mind was human, evolved to survive, to adapt, to find patterns in chaos. Where the corruption expected rigid resistance, she flowed like water. When it tried to overwhelm her with data, she let it pass through her, identifying the patterns within the noise. "Fascinating," a voice echoed through her consciousness. "You're not what I expected." The corruption coalesced into a form, a being of pure quantum energy wearing the appearance of a Dominion High Commander. Its compound eyes studied her with cold calculation. Commander Vex, Maya recognized, drawing the knowledge from the network itself. the one who developed the corruption protocol. And you are Maya Chen, human, xenoarchaeologist, insignificant. The being's form rippled with contempt. Your species is an aberration. You create chaos in our perfect order. Maya laughed, the sound rippling through quantum space. Perfect order? You mean stagnation, death. She gestured at the corrupted pathways around them. Look what you've done to something beautiful. The network was meant to connect, to help species grow together. You turned it into chains. We improved it, Vex countered. Under our guidance, all species will evolve along predetermined optimal paths. No more waste. No more random mutation. No more humanity. The corruption struck again, harder this time. Maya felt her consciousness beginning to fragment under the assault. But as her mind started to break apart, something unexpected happened. Each fragment of her consciousness began operating independently, adapting to the attack in different ways. That's impossible. Vex's form flickered with what might have been fear. Your neural patterns, they're evolving in real time. Maya felt it too. Her fragmented consciousness wasn't dissolving. It was adapting, each piece finding new ways to resist the corruption. She remembered what Zira had said about human minds being uniquely suited to chaos. Now she understood why. You know what your problem is, Vex. Maya's consciousness began pulling itself back together, stronger than before. You see chaos as a weakness, but chaos is where life happens. It's where evolution happens. Humanity didn't just survive chaos. We learned to swim in it. She reached out to the network, not fighting the quantum currents but moving with them. The key's clean protocols began flowing through her, using her adapted neural patterns as a conduit. Where they touched the corruption, they didn't just erase it. They transformed it. Stop. Vex's form began to destabilize. You don't understand what you're doing. The network requires control, structure. Without our guidance, it will be free, Maya finished. Free to grow, to evolve, to become something new. She pushed harder, letting the key's energy flow through her transformed consciousness, just like humanity did. The sanctuary's core chamber shuddered as reality itself seemed to flex. Maya was dimly aware of her physical body, of Zira protecting her from Dominion forces that had breached the lower levels. But most of her awareness was in the network, locked in quantum combat with Vex and his corruption. You'll destroy everything. Vex raged as his form began to dissolve. Chaos will consume the network. No, Maya corrected, her consciousness expanding further. Life will return to it. Real life. Messy, unpredictable, beautiful life. She could feel other consciousnesses in the network now. The species connected by the predecessor's creation, reaching out as the corruption began to fade. Their combined awareness joined with hers, adding their strength to the purge. The key's protocols spread like wildfire through the quantum pathways, not erasing the corruption, but transforming it into something new. Vex made one final attempt to stop her, throwing the full power of the Dominion's corrupted network against her consciousness. But Maya wasn't fighting alone anymore. The combined awareness of countless species flowed through her, each adding their own unique patterns to the whole. This is what the network was meant to be, she told Vex as his form began to dissolve completely. Not control. Connection. Not uniformity. Unity. This is what humanity learned on our death world. Strength isn't about dominating chaos. It's about dancing with it. The corruption began to transform faster now, the quantum pathways healing themselves as new patterns emerge. Maya felt her consciousness beginning to strain under the load, but she held on. She could feel Zira's presence nearby, anchoring her to physical reality as her mind reshaped the quantum landscape. Through the network, she sensed the Dominion forces across countless worlds suddenly losing their connection to the corrupted pathways. Their rigid, controlled patterns dissolved, leaving them to rediscover their own natural evolution. Some would adapt, others wouldn't. That was how life worked. As the last of the corruption transformed, Maya felt her consciousness beginning to return to her body. But something was different. The network had changed her, just as she had changed it. Her mind had adapted to quantum space, evolved to bridge the gap between human consciousness and the predecessor's creation. The physical world began to reassert itself. She could feel her body again, feel Zira's arms supporting her as she swayed on her feet. The sanctuary's core pulsed with clean, bright energy, its quantum pathways restored to their original purpose. But something was wrong. The changes to her consciousness, the adaptation that had allowed her to survive in quantum space, they were still accelerating. Her mind was still evolving, moving beyond normal human parameters. Soon, she would transcend physical form entirely. Maya. Zira's voice seemed to come from very far away. You have to let go. The network, it's trying to ascend you. Maya struggled to focus on physical reality. The sanctuary was collapsing around them, the crystal structures unable to contain the massive energy release from the network's transformation. She could save herself by letting go, by allowing her consciousness to fully enter quantum space. Or she could hold on to her humanity, her physical form, and face whatever consequences came with forcing an evolved consciousness back into human shape. It would hurt. It might even kill her. But Maya Chen had never been one to take the easy way out. She made her choice. Beyond the stars, Maya chose humanity. The decision sent waves of agony through her transformed consciousness as she forced herself back into physical form. It felt like trying to pour an ocean into a drinking glass, like compressing a star into a single atom. Every cell in her body screamed as her evolved mind struggled to fit within human neural pathways. Hold on, Zira's voice anchored her to reality as the sanctuary crumbled around them. Your body is adapting, just like you taught the network to adapt. Maya gritted her teeth, focusing on physical sensations, the pain in her muscles, the taste of blood in her mouth, Zira's arms supporting her. She was Maya Chen, human, an archaeologist, too stubborn to die and too curious to transcend. She had a body that needed sleep and coffee, a mind that craved adventure, and a heart that had found something worth fighting for. Gradually, impossibly, her consciousness stabilized. The quantum awareness remained, but now it felt more like an extension of her human senses than a replacement for them. She could still feel the network, could sense the transformed pathways spreading across reality, but she was no longer in danger of being absorbed by them. That, she managed to gasp, was unpleasant. Zira's silver lips curved in relief. You impossible human. Anyone else would have let go, would have embraced transcendence. Why did you hold on? Maya straightened, testing her renewed connection to her body. Because the universe doesn't need another transcendent being. It needs people who will stay, who will fight and build and connect. She looked at Zira. Besides, I made a friend. Hate to leave without saying goodbye properly. A massive crystal spire crashed nearby, reminding them that the sanctuary was still collapsing. Maya's quantum-enhanced senses could feel the structure's death throes rippling through reality itself. Please tell me you have an escape plan. The network is reborn, Zira said, leading them toward what appeared to be a solid wall. We can use any crystal surface as a quantum gate now. But Maya, she hesitated. The changes to your consciousness, they're permanent. You'll never be fully human again. Maya laughed as they ran. Honey, humanity isn't about staying the same. It's about changing, adapting, becoming something new while remembering where we came from. She touched the wall, feeling the quantum pathways humming beneath its surface. Where are we going? Anywhere we want. Zira's silver skin seemed to glow with renewed energy. The network is healing itself, creating new connections. Every species touched by it is beginning to evolve in their own way, free from the Dominion's control. Speaking of the Dominion, Maya reached out with her enhanced senses, feeling the ripples of change spreading across countless worlds. The Dominion forces were in chaos, their rigid patterns of control shattered by the network's transformation. Some were already beginning to adapt, their consciousness expanding in new directions. Others were breaking down, unable to cope with sudden freedom. They'll need help, she realized. All of them, the controlled and the controllers. They need to learn how to live with chaos, how to grow through change instead of fearing it. And who better to teach them than humanity? Zira's hand found hers as the sanctuary's collapse accelerated, particularly a human who has evolved to bridge the gap between physical and quantum reality. Maya grinned, feeling the network's possibilities spreading out before them like an infinite web of light. Are you suggesting we become interdimensional teachers? Help species learn to swim in chaos? I'm suggesting, Zira said as another crystal spire crashed behind them, that we do what you humans do best: adapt, explore, and help others do the same. Her expression became serious. It won't be easy. Many species will resist change, just as the Dominion did. Some may even try to recreate the corruption in new forms. Good thing they'll have humanity to show them how it's done. Maya pressed her hand against the crystal wall, feeling the quantum pathways respond to her transformed consciousness. Ready to make some bad decisions with me? Always, Zira replied, her silver skin touching Maya's as they prepared to jump. Though I'm beginning to think that what humans call bad decisions are actually the best ones. Reality shifted around them as the sanctuary collapsed, its physical form dissolving as its quantum essence merged with the renewed network. Maya held tight to both her humanity and Zira as they leaped into possibility, carrying the lesson she had learned into whatever adventures awaited. Because that was humanity's greatest gift to the universe. Not just the ability to survive chaos, but to thrive in it. To take the impossible and make it possible. To reach into the fire of transformation and emerge changed but unbroken. To hold on to love and hope and determination even when transcendence beckoned. Maya Chen, human synorchaeologist turned quantum bridge, felt the universe open before her. There were species to teach, mysteries to solve, wrongs to right, and wonders to explore. She had a brilliant alien companion by her side, a transformed consciousness that spanned realities and all the stubborn human determination that had brought her species from a death world to the stars. The future was uncertain, full of chaos and change and possibility, just the way humanity liked it. As they emerged into their chosen reality, Maya felt Zira's consciousness brush against hers through their shared connection to the network. Any regrets? The alien asked, about choosing to stay human. Maya looked at her companion, then at the endless possibilities spreading out before them. Only if we don't make the most of it, she grinned. Now I heard there's a species in the Carina sector trying to build their own version of the corruption. Want to go show them a better way? Zira's answering smile was all the response she needed. They stepped forward together, ready to face whatever chaos the universe had in store. Because that was what humanity did best, not just surviving the impossible, but teaching others how to dance with it. The network hummed with potential around them, its quantum pathways alive with the promise of evolution and change. And at its heart, a very human consciousness continued to do what humans had always done: adapt, explore, connect, and transform chaos into possibility. The adventure was just beginning.